Allan, read.
Yeah.
Yep. You read it out loud to share with everybody.
To share of our ability to spread joy to others will act as a commitment to understand people.
Yeah. Tasha, you want to read that out again too, please, Tasha?
Anand,
Remember the statement the BB Lighthouse keepers made on Tuesday together, the three of you? Do you remember where the channel is?
The channel is
spreading joy to others,
the
ability to understand others, and I forgot the last one.
It's the shared hope.
Oh yeah, share hope with others.
Yeah, the shared hope. So that came up from the shared hope because we were trying to investigate why are we feeling so excited, right? Out of so many activities, we could jump out of bed and everybody turns up. So we drill it down to the shared hope, and then Tasha was saying we have the ability to spread joy to others. We have the ability to spread joy to others because we were trying to figure out deep drill our purpose. And then Hong Kai came in with the shared hope of the ability to spread joy to others is the anchor, right? Is this what he said? The anchor for our commitment to understand people. So it's a commitment. So Bernie, we spoke a lot about that. So that's really come through to the youth stewards. That it's a commitment. And for Hong Kai, he very much desires to see a space that has many diverse people and to understand people, because he's a sociologist, anthropologist. So that's how we are framing this. So far for this space, or as a start for this next 6 months, I think we will just keep it to this very small group, because the space has requested us to just take this at least up to 3 months, and because of COVID and all that, to really limit the people. So we have to actually submit our names for as approved persons to enter the site, and they have requested that we don't do any publicity just yet while we get all the approvals. So we just call it the site. So the shared hope of the ability to spread joy to others will anchor us to a commitment to understand people. So this is the statement so far. And as Vashima has always taught us, we will just do one season at a time with the inquiry. So Vashima, this is our inquiry. They've already set it. So I think it's exciting. We can really kind of reboot everything. Vincent is here because he's going to be the space master. Or the space steward. Yeah, so the space used to be an ex-F&B training place for the students, so I don't know how much of the piping and the electricity were left there, but what we've moved there is a kitchen studio. I don't think we'll be able to do any work this 3 months on actually before we get the approval to actually cook in there. But I think what we can do is we can do a lot of planning, thinking, and we may be able to modify those that kitchen studio into a traveling one, and then we can bring it to other schools or other communities, or even the library, because the carpenters took it down so quickly. I'm like, wow, this is fascinating. It was very fast, and they volunteered the time and even the transport. They were so kind. We did it in one morning, including the corridor classroom. She remember all the blackboards that we did and all that. They took it out, they installed it, and I think we can learn that. I don't think it's a difficult thing, especially with Vincent supporting us, right? After a while, you know, we'll learn how to do that, so we can transport. And it was quite pretty when they brought it in and they just stacked it up, and seeing them stack it in a different way than it was before was very fascinating, because the corridor classroom that we had all these blackboards on the side and all that, right? So I think that in itself would become like a pedagogical provocation to many communities. So I think in our next 3 months, it's more about thinking about this, and then learning how to modify it such that it could be traveling, and it could be also safe in the space where we put it in. So that's and then of course we've got all our furniture. Our furniture can be arranged there. They fitted in all quite easily, and it was the movers. I didn't have to lift the thing. The when the move, so there were two groups. So the first group was the movers, and when they found out what our place was supposed to, they were very curious at first. What is this space? It's all full of blackboards. Is this so? Straight away they associated with education. You know, when they went to an education site, they're like, how come you're coming in here? Then so when I explained it to them, oh, they got so inspired, and they were moving everything. And even when the things went into the space, they started arranging it for us. You know, they were so kind. So I think that's what we're going to see more and more of. And that means the community engagement and participation has actually begun already. The group of logistics team was very young, in the early 20s, and they were moving so fast, and there's so much to learn from them. They have all these boards, and they could stack everything in the boxes. They packed it all up in under 2 hours, moved it. So they are good people, and they were very flexible about how much it cost. So the whole move cost 1,000 Sing. Yeah, so I gave them in cash. But I think they're a good group who will be able to support what we want to do next, right? In other communities. So I'm thinking even our boxes and resources, we can pack it in such a way that if we were to loan it out, or we were to bring it with us to spark, you know, like whether you call it family learning, or schools, or even workplaces. So there's a huge desire for wanting full inclusion. And without the labels, and they're very fascinated with how we do it, because we don't talk about it, right? We talk about it, yet we don't need to talk about it. We're just working together. So I think people are desiring to see how it is done in a space. The other school principal is also waiting for us. So we have the resources, and Hong Cai, being in the library, has already shared with us a library template, so we can even start work on that, or we can mobilize different groups of people to start doing that. So all the resources being cataloged, and then when Vincent sees the space, and after we've laid out all the furniture, whether or not we need to make more shelves, I've transported the wood, the recycled wood that we found. Washima, remember those wood that we found?
Yeah.
Yeah, we managed to bring over everything, okay?
Oh my.
all the recycled boxes, everything, the farm stuff, the site has a garden, and they have some gardening and farming. I think some of our things can definitely start moving into those places once they understand the approval. So what I've said to the lighthouse keepers is essentially, if we are in that space, we're in that space to contribute, right? Keep the place clean. If they have gardening work, if they have some farm work there, we would love to be part of it and join in, you know, and then we'll bring our materials and be very considerate. I love this the school leadership. I do. I love so every single person that I've met. I found it's just a very, very nurturing environment, and very strong, very well organized. Of course, the two security guards, we already know them. So the support that they give us is to this extent, right? Once we give them an operational plan, what things we're going to do, and then we give them our names, they approve it. We are actually having our own passes and badges, you know. We don't even need to get through security anymore. Huh? Isn't it amazing? And then there's a side gate. We can use that. Yeah.
Fabulous.
Yeah, we really, it's just such a great hospitality. It's so safe. They tell us what the rules are, but they're so welcoming. So I've sent in 7 names, a lot of us together with Saif, and that's it. Keep it real, and Hong Kai, right? And then, so I said to everyone, we're there to kind of model what BB is or what One Love is, you know, and we just do it very, very well, and it will speak for itself. Huh?
Yeah.
That's all we need to do, you know. So at the end of the session, I realized we just need to dedicatedly do the work. We don't need all the fanciful stuff. And then once we get the work done, we can document that either through the meetings or our documentation. And that's what we'll end up with, a video to show the board and the school. And I think by then our work will be speaking for itself. You imagine now it's July, and you imagine January or last December, right? And you imagine the last 3 months, you know, so imagine the next 3 months or 6 months. I think it's gonna be something none of us can even imagine. But
Yeah.
some of the parameters are already all there. So with that, the lawyers have also come in to give us, they had to draft 2 agreements, pro bono. Yeah, to the
Wow.
highest level, the joint MD of Bird and Bird, Sandra, and Jonathan will work with this. I think you met Jonathan, right? So they drafted 2. One is a collaborative agreement, but maybe that's a bit premature. So we went into a licensing agreement, which the school are more used to. So at least as an interim, and then maybe if once they understand the work that we do, because they need to see it. So we need to make visible our work, and then we can go to that more full-blown collaborative arrangement that we're visioning about, and that we hope that maybe LightHouse will be able to collaborate with other people. But for the next 6 months, it's just a licensing agreement. I don't know why they call it a licensing agreement, but all the email trail is there. You can kind of read it. So the VP has already replied to us, and we have already, I'm going to set a meeting with him together with the lawyer, and essentially just write up the understanding, so there's no misunderstanding. And you know, they indemnify us, we indemnify them, so it's all very friendly. But so, and the very first starting point with the lighthouse keepers, we spoke about governance, and we spoke about law, because the UNDP's SDG impact, when I look at it, is drilled down to human rights. It's as simple as that. So we've really gone right down. And then one of the points that I put down there, Vashima will love it, is agency, right?
Yes.
So we've got the model. So Saif is going to kind of deepen that for us, you know, and I'm going to tie it to this to make it auditable, because as UNDP as SDG impact, they have worked with Duke University, you know, for this piece. So I almost think that the corporations of the future are going to have this fully embedded in their corporate governance. And for now, it's an opt-in, so we can lead the opt-in as well to demonstrate it. So it's so from an assurance and governance point of view, it's going to be like, wow, we're already setting that thing, and then with the pedagogy, then with the space. So the space is very important, because we are living the social ecological culture and work. So that's why all our work, or the so-called new curriculum or communal practice, has to touch a space, has to touch earth, has to upkeep, right? The wild nature, the food, the circular economy. So it's very exciting, because the second we start, right, it's starting from everything integrated.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Vashima, I know you
I
things
can
are coming.
imagine
Yeah. Tell. Okay,
after
Paul.
6 months,
Huh?
I can imagine after 6 months of performance, having the same kind of, remember the table layout, and inviting all the people who need to see this done, and host such a fantastic kind of you know, with Nora Bateson, the one we did.
Yeah.
It's a similar style
Yeah.
of everyone put their bit. It looks so fantastic.
Yeah, and it will be integrated, and the clarity is there because our framing is actually, I think, complete already. We have an architecture of the work that so BB with the tube and everything, right? We're integrating. I think this season is actually Vincent's season. Said it so many times.
Fantastic.
It's this creating a space for creative exploration, and with the use towards, oh my gosh, Bernie, you really, your milestones, I'm just your formation program is mind-blowing. Okay, you really deepen and open me up the last 6-7 months, you know. I mean, it's mind-blowing. So and it leads right down to creativity, and then we have that tree that we have to build with the use towards, right? All this stuff is but it lends back to Vincent now painting like crazy, and you know, and this space being like a studio, yet not like traditional art for art's sake kind of studio, but community. I mean, it's going to be mind-blowing, I think. And then because it's an open space, and we're much more nimble with the tools now too, and we've got all the resources, but it's a great opportunity to kind of reintegrate in a different form, you know, all of us.
Also have community art.
Huh?
Would you also have community art?
Community? Vincent, you can take this one. Yeah.
Yeah, how does it fit in?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very popular thing.
Yeah.
Right now. But yeah, my only caution about that kind of thing is that it takes a lot of effort and resources and planning, and you know, months and months of time in the execution. So it can tend to shut down any individual sort of creative making time. Anyway, this is just thoughts. It's a good thing sometimes in the right application for the right reason. But yeah, it's not the only thing to do. Yeah. Like just being together in a space is also really, really fantastic, right? Working side by side creatively in a space is one exciting and stimulating thing. And then the other aspect is actually the idea of working in a group, like you said, the word community, right, is really about going out into the community and somehow interacting, whether it's like a service kind of thing, right, where you're painting a bench or a wall for a specific theme or whatever it is that you want to promote in the community, and collaborating with community members, right, on that sort of project, which is what I mean. It's like it's a longer kind of process to be valuable, where you have to actually kind of meet with local people that you want to collaborate with in the conception of whatever it is you're doing. Yeah.
Well, I'm just thinking, because of the situation now, this COVID pandemic, there is a lot of reflections, but it's all internal reflections, and people have to spit it out, because then you will solve a lot of mental issues, whether it's actually art or bonding with the community, because people now have become introverted. Their companion is technology. They are friendless. Yeah. So if this is a way, whatever is the medium, whatever is the articulation, it has to be a magnet to draw people together, especially the youth. Yeah, it's a very nebulous concept, but because we have to address this phenomenon today, yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but it will really draw people out of themselves.
Yeah, in fact, there's a lot of artists doing exactly that all across Singapore right now. Like there's a lot of government funding for those kind of projects.
Yeah.
And so people are putting proposals in all the time that sort of
Yes.
address that. Yeah, there's kind of endless possibilities.
Mm.
Yeah.
I suppose for us, the next 6 months is very concrete, Bernie, because we are actually co-developing this space, right? Together with also the school, you know, or maybe other schools. But it's something that is new, which is also having Hong Kai, Allan, and Tasha working together. I mean, Vincent and I and Washima and yourself, we are working on the youth stewardship program, right? Maybe by remote, but we have worked together physically. So I see there's something in contemporary art, right, where the concept of art in community is not like painting a mural or anything, you know. No, this is art in community because we're creating and a very specific manifestation of ideations, right? And our core ideation or formulation that anchors us is two: the economics of universal well-being. Although it's just a flower or diagram, but actually we have deepened it. And last year, I've kind of published more of the corporate transactions type of lecture series. But maybe as we emerge, more of the formation piece that we did this year, we can begin to articulate and deepen that. And as SIFE observes us, right, as we embed the UNDP SDG impact standards, the governance piece will also concretize. And like Washima says on the micro summit, and don't forget we're leading up to a summer school. So by the time we hit the summer school, the type of school of life that we're experiencing, right, and the content will be the content that we're going to generate. You know? We will be generating the pedagogical documentation. The whole way of thinking, there's so many different threads of multidisciplines and all that, right? Well, for us, we could do it in the dark, right? And even for us, we get like the self-doubts also start to creep in, but because we're together and then we keep going, I feel that we have already starting to pull out some threads already, and we're actually now weaving. So the more we actually see ourselves as actually doing a piece of artwork together, I think it will be clearer. And then the ultimate physical seeing of it is actually going to be the space and the stuff, the activities that we do, you know. It's like what Washima is saying, just seeing the old furniture, but like in the new, we're not going over and recreating what was the past, you know. Yeah, so
again, it would not be so dynamic if we were to repeat what already is being done. So we need to let the space emerge with new manifestations and new possibilities. Even if it's rearranging certain expectations, but putting it into the context of the energy of the space, I think we would be much more dynamic in our work approach. So we don't know what it's going to land up in. Normally we have an agenda. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. This is week 1, week 2, week 2. Then we are already back into that, boxes of following a linear creative juices of the spaces. So with Vincent's open-mindedness, his ability to deal with the ambiguity of the conversations that happen, I think that new expressions will be picked up through the initial conversations of the space within the space.
I think it's Vincent's time. Vincent is the one now. Vincent, you are. I'm hearing this now. You actually have to be the orchestrator now. You know, it's from the last time Washima said, "Peng An, you just go get the school, go get the site. I've done my part." By the sounds of it, right?
What are your thoughts?
Operational bursting or stuff, but the next part, I have to receipt. You know, and
what are your thoughts, Vincent?
Yeah.
Well, I'm really focused on the making spaces, so I don't know. I mean, like you were saying though, I'm would like to try and be open to brainstorming stuff, right? So, but I think setting up a space to be active is already allowed, right? You know, offering classes to small groups in pods of 5 kind of thing is definitely something that is allowed now, right?
Yep.
So,
Yep.
yeah, I think probably at this point it's setting up the physical space so that it's functional. And then as we're doing that, we can think about a first step, like do we want it to be with the school itself, with some students from the school of the site, or what do we want to, what's first steps?
They are open. Even in this interim agreement, they've already put in a clause that says, the members of the school and the community, they would like us to be able to engage something with them. So I think the intent is already there, but maybe the actual doing it formally may have to come after the approval, after this exploratory period. So we could do some prototyping, or we could do some so it's kind of baby steps, but you're right, definitely it's to set up the physical. But even in setting up the physical, I think, I don't know, Vashima, help me with this. When you mean how the energy of the space,
Okay, what I can see is that for me, my background thinking or my inspiration goes back into a space that helps you express through 100 languages, not just paintbrush and the usual. It can be expressive in many. It's a studio that allows experimentation with all the mediums that can be made available, provided there is an interest to explore these mediums. So the studio is set up for different explorations over 6 months with different focuses. So people who are interested more in nature will have a certain kind of ambience in the space that will allow experimentation with the natural materials and find expressive art. The ones who are into fine art will have a certain time period or frame of, that can be designated, that the studio is gonna be zooming on a certain aspect of expressive art. So it's more dynamic. It's not, I'm going for an art class, I have a 1-hour art class, I'm back. A certain transformation program happens when you're able to delve deep into understanding yourself before you express yourself. So it's not that you're just learning techniques alone, but you're also learning, because that everybody is very good with, mostly because they're taught how to hold this, how to do this, how do you set up, and how. So that, again, I think a dynamic studio allows a lot of experimentation, and the studio anchor is looking at all the ways that exploration of languages through art, the 100 languages, can be explored. So it doesn't, so that something like that comes to my mind as being a dynamic place or a dynamic studio of 21st century, rather than an art school going for art classes. Oh, I can't take the silence.
Thinking for the first time, I have nothing to say. Because I really want to. No, it's a. Oh, Vashima, can you share with us the space being the third teacher, the environment being?
Yes, I think it is more that people who come into the space are able to look deeply into the thinking of the place, the voices, the people who have the right to their identity in the space, children's early theories, or people what they're thinking about. So it's just not a still art gallery. It is provocative, it's evocative, it is a representation of people who own the space with their emerging ideas, theories, aspirations, who they are, so all that is visible. So when you look at an art studio of today, it also shows the inner growth of people, of the community, and what it's thinking about. So it's provocative not just in its art form, but it's also provocative in how we are thinking about things, our own lives, our own issues, our own theories, our own exploration. So it's a very dynamic thinking made visible through art. Our understanding.
Art, it could be anything, no? Not only art.
Yeah, it could be anything. So that's why we need multiple languages. It's not through just, so it could be, for example, let me see, it could be through the importance, our commitment to the environment. And it could be a project that kind of looks at multiple ways in which individuals can make a difference to the environment through the arts. So it's like it's not like a message, but it's our own coming to grips with it. How do we connect with these dots of what the environment is all about seeking from us? What can we do? So there's lots of pulling of threads before you weave and create a strong message, or a strong exploration, or a strong inspiration, that you come in and you say, oh wow, oh my God, yes. People need to connect with the art through the depth of exploration that it can offer. If you look at natural materials, we've gone so deep into plastic toys. And imagine if young parents can be invited in to look at observing all the things, natural things that your child is attracted to. And then the first thing they're told is, don't touch, that's dirty, throw it, so we are already putting all that division between that which is natural to that which is our curiosity to touch, feel, see, explore. So the materials also have to be open-ended. They can't be like, I have one chip straw and you have another ice cream stick and let's make something out of it. No, it is open-ended materials that people can explore. That's the kind of studio is going to be so dynamic and different from the art classes that schools already offer.
It's like open-ended curiosity.
Open-ended curiosity. So these studios are basically enticing the people who walk in to open-ended explorations, because all of us have got so stuck into how this should be, how to do something which is already done before. We play so safe that if we have to emerge as minds that are totally creative, don't have to be so regimented. We have to come out of our regimented thinking.
Yeah.
And that comes from the very young. That's where the third teacher, the environment as a third teacher, allows you to explore. I'm not saying a place that is totally throwing paints on the ceiling and going no, but it is done with a purpose and deep thinking. If that be a need, then okay, then we're looking at it again. But let's free the mind. So open-ended curiosity that frees the mind, and that will give bigger joy. Because otherwise we are totally in a competitive, I checked with a small anecdote that reformed or that shaped my thinking. And that's a very quick story, if you allow me to interject.
Also, maybe an open-ended curiosity with a sense of purpose.
Open-ended
curiosity. Yeah, with a sense of purpose.
Yes, absolutely. So that to me will guide the values with which we create that space. Like I have to tell you the story so you understand where the mind is truncated, where the mind of a child gets truncated with curiosity. So I decided to use the pen, the markers, instead of pencils with 3 because again, what I observed was that every time they drew a line or a circle or they're writing, they were busy scribbling. They were busy erasing because it wasn't perfect. And they kept erasing it. So one of those sessions, I said, all the children can put their erasers into a box and we don't need them anymore because there's nothing to erase. Every line is what it's meant to be. And then, you believe it, few children started crying. They were weeping because they were so insecure without their eraser. And their kind of response was, the teacher won't like it. It's not good. So basically, I'm not good enough or it's not perfect starts very, very early. And that's why we need to kind of reframe, reconnect with that which is beautiful because it's coming out of your own being. So those are the little values that will be very dynamic to release the soul of these people who come in. And then they kind of are able to find themselves again. And the teachers didn't know what to do because either they would erase it for the child, what was not good, or the children would be as a habit, or the parents would do it at home. And there were holes in the papers of their drawings because it wasn't good enough. So a place that offers, if you don't like this one, it's another page. You can start again without having this fear factor and that panic.
Wow.
All things, but they shape up the learner's mind, the explorer's mind, the curious mind. They nurture. And this is the environment where we say it's a third teacher, because it is our ingrained values that allow that mind to be free.
Wow. It's open. That's what we've always stood for, right? Curiosity, that's why everything we do is about inquiry. The sense of purpose, that's driving us, the solidarity of service. I think we need to link back to, so Vashima, early on, you said identity, the voices. You started this with, you enter a space, got to be very sensitive to, community is all about listening, right? So who's in there? So already the second I enter, I understood that they need this agreement, they said all this, and these are the voices of this community, And
that, to me, is dignity. That place serves dignity and nurtures dignity of the individuals.
Because you start with the rights, right? This is the rules, this is the law, this is the, and then how we navigate it, how we negotiate, how we dialogue.
then it becomes
Yeah.
then it becomes a pedagogy of negotiation, the pedagogy of hope, the pedagogy of art, the pedagogy of listening. All of that creates the environment for individuals to blossom.
And it's
Get
real empowerment, isn't it? And that's what we're
empowerment.
teaching, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Every space you
And-
enter, you got to
Yeah.
understand the sensitivities. You can't just go and assert yourself and da da da. But you also cannot just be pushed to a corner. But then if it's not your space, you might have to be pushed and tolerate that, and then find a way to say, maybe we want to do it this way, So, and I think that's the type of formation of character, right, Bernie, that we're talking about. And then this is the root of your identity, right? That you have this maturity to be able to hold it, right? And it goes back to the identity of being truly empowered by being able and being in society, the community as your society. So I think in the school space is very good because they are growing the citizens, right? The young citizens. So I think and they're open to that, more than any other space, I suppose, because that's what schools do, right? You nurture your citizens. You educate, right? You educate about this, right? So
I feel that this space should open up to, if we're talking about community, we are opening up to all generations. So it's also the grandparents can come in and experiment. There are so many unfulfilled dreams and unfulfilled talent and unfulfilled, untapped potential. And all of that can come together in these spaces.
Wow.
So even storytelling is part of it. Even, even sharing a recipe of your traditional kind and showing it around is also part of expression. So a studio is no more an art class.
So our depth of exploration goes to intergeneration, and this is what Bernie is talking about, the formation in the character in the community has to include all generations, right? That's the real formation. Otherwise you're truncated. You're
no more
like this in school, you're like this in home, you're like this in the workplace, you're like this in so-called community, but it doesn't make sense because we're all been chopped up, right?
And also the dignity of the older generation needs to be lived in everyday spaces like this.
So it's going back to the dignity, right? The dignity. So with a sense of purpose.
Yes.
Of open-ended curiosity with a sense of purpose. The purpose is
sense of purpose is to find meaning in their lives and to give service to the community. It's back to back, no? That's why they have to self-discover their own passion.
And then if you look at it as that everyday researcher, everybody a learner, everybody a teacher, then these values need to find a space that holds these values in everyday actions and thinking.
It can't settle into an operational program anymore. No, if we set up the space that is open enough and nimble enough for it to be serving this purpose, actually, right?
They have to self-discover. I mean, they have to discover their own passion. Then they have to apply their own diligence and energy to pursue it, whatever it is. It's only their own expectations that they have to meet, nobody else.
They have to be able to touch the core, huh? I understand
but
what you're saying.
lot of us have been so not in sync with ourselves that we don't even know what are our own own passion. What do we want to do? What's our own talent? What do I really want? Ask 10 people in a group, what do you really want? There is no mulling of that in the context. So those spaces allow those voices and expression. See, sometimes it is that I don't know, I cannot verbalize, but I can express it through my art. I can express it through other languages, other ways of expression. And that is a way of communication too.
I in my own journey as an artist, I've realized life is art, so it's very funny. It's not really the art form anymore. It's not the typical painting.
You cannot put yourself into any situation, whether or take it as an average or take it as any other mind. So do say that, do accept that one individual story cannot be everyone's way of measuring. Each one has that beauty, and some have been fortunate to have that liberty to express, those opportunities to express, and some haven't. Some have been more suppressed, some have managed to express. So between the group that is suppressed to the ones who have been able to express and explore, there's a huge gap.
Yeah, so I personally struggle with all these definitions. I do, right? For example, like just paste it stuff. I can see the composition and etc., and then you enjoy having those kind of dialogues about composition and form and lines and all that, right? But and then to go back to just saying, expression is just this is very hard for me. So it's very hard for me. So so for me it's a hope to open up, right, where the aliveness and the livingness of being interacting with life is to see it like we say, it's a school of life, and it's connecting it to the core. And the core is, the last time we spoke about this was peace, but recently I was reading on Paul Klee, and I kind of understood harmony. It's like don't know how to explain it. So if I am to be in the space, I can't be a silent participant in the space. So I have to bring all of me into that space, and all of me is going to keep disrupting, right? The kind of like the norm of definition, and I realize why I'm always a struggle in spaces, and why people find me a struggle in their space. Eventually I have to exit it in order not to create too much disruption. So that's but recently I realized, after all the sessions with Bernie and all that it's important I keep talking about this, and not just me being an outlier, because I don't think, yeah, it's how do I say it?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we can brainstorm this some more, but what is coming out is that, yeah, we have to help people to discover their own passions that will give meaningfulness, and then they apply it with energy and diligence. And in the meantime, we can continue exploring this because it's open-ended.
Yeah,
it's really very open-ended.
Because language and form, and it's we kind of frame it, right? Like you say, everyone has their framing, but it's we can't even. I don't think, if we are to really re-begin, right, we can't even give any word to it. I think it's just a space like Bernie said, and then it's if we really want to scrub clean ourselves, right?
Mm.
And our own biasness and
Yes.
forms, right?
Yes.
The most we can say is it's safe. It's got some pieces of stuff in there right now, right?
And
And
they can uncover whatever
yeah,
was clinging
but
there.
I think the goal you got it, Bernie, you got it.
Mm.
It's to self-discover.
Mm.
I think Vashima has gotten it as well. Open-ended curiosity. It's
Yeah,
to
because
free the mind.
yeah, in other words,
Yeah.
all this means that you are going to unmask your emptiness.
Huh? You're going to unmask your emptiness.
Yeah, because people have no meaning. Their lives has no meaning, even if they're the wealthiest man in the world. At the end of the day, the meaning is absent. But if a
Meaning.
person, yeah,
Meaning. So spreading joy, you have to allow the mind to be free. Then you get a deep joy, right? That's what Vashima said.
all
You get
the
meaning.
all the positiveness of meaningful existence.
And then you have to self-discover your own passion. You have to self-discover. We can't do anything about it. And you have to apply your own diligence and energy.
Yeah.
Right? You have to do your own application. You got to make your
Yes.
choices. This is where
And
Vashima's
that's why
pedagogy
after
comes
you
into.
have discovered that, you have a sense of satisfaction because it's your own.
The satisfaction
And
is the
that's
one that
where
gives you
we
joy.
say
Huh?
that's where the studio space offers support also, right? That I'm not alone. The other is equally important for my growth. So it's not that I am by myself doing just, there is always a collaborative approach to discovering also.
Yeah, you're not
if
alone.
required.
Yeah, you're not alone.
So this goes back to Vincent saying one of the journeys or the spaces that an artist needs is to do the artist's own work, but then this space also you are journeying with other artists, the art of life, right? So in that sense, or the creativity of that is required for you to formate your identity, right? Identity requires creativity, right? So we're all artists, right? Whether you like it or not, we're all artists. So
sometimes when you're an artist, the downside is you are so immersed in what you're doing that you can be isolated. Because really your all and be all is in what you're doing.
Vincent, can you share with us the intensity and the space and the solitude almost that an artist
needs? An artist.
Yeah, like the work that you're doing now. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what we're talking about is like a university collective art studio, right? Where you've got master's students and they're all working in the same space. And they're all interacting with each other. They sit, they talk, they eat together, they joke around together, they play music together, and they also sometimes go into their own little zone and make. And sometimes they collaborate, and they put on exhibitions together. So it's like a community kind of space, which is different than when you leave school and you're on your own as an artist.
Yes.
It can be very isolating where you are disconnected from that community.
Totally.
And unless you're an extrovert, you're gonna remain that way.
Yeah. It's a trap,
Yeah. So the idea of the communal space that we're talking about, there are some examples that I'm sure you've seen this one too. Then there's that one in New York, which has been around for about 30 years. It's a space that's open to anybody, but it's run by artists, and it's actually like a shop front artist studio, but it's primarily serves disabled adults of many different ages and many different challenges. But they come there and they work, right? They sit and they do their own work, and like Vashima was saying, there's a huge variety of materials available to them. So whatever they're attracted to, whatever they're already doing, is actually fostered, and they just continue that, but in a little bit more supportive space. Yeah, and a more beautiful space, right? It's a space that's conducive to that spirit of focus and admiration of beauty and all of that, right? So that tends to encourage that a bit more. Yeah. So the same thing applies there. It's a communal kind of space, and people who come into that space have to know that there are duties that you have to perform, probably, right? Like maybe you have to clean the table at the end or whatever, or you have to organize your materials back into certain bins or whatever, right? So I'm kind of seeing that one side of it, right, is fostering that, like setting it up in that way that there's it's like a Montessori classroom for all ages, right? In that way, right, where what you're attracted to, you can zone into. But the challenging part with that is that then the teachers, or whatever you want to call them, stewards, have to be aware that sometimes you need to assist people to sort of take those first steps, because like Vashima was saying as well, a lot of people don't have that experience of being able to base things on their own willpower, on their own choices. So they really feel intimidated by the emptiness of that choice. Like, how do you start? So yeah, that's the challenge for me. It would be to think about that. How would you, what kind of little activities or demonstrations or whatever that you're going to regularly sort of, like a prompt almost, right? And then you have to leave it to them, and you have to, if they don't do anything, they don't do anything at first. Sometimes that happens. I've experienced that with young children who come from an environment where they've just never been exposed to that. They've never been allowed to explore anything on their own. And for the first month, they will not do anything. They will just almost do nothing until they start to realize, okay, if I do something, I'm not going to get scolded if I use my own choices. Right. And then once they grasp that, then they get this, desire to make, because they know it's their own time and that their choices are valued and their own preferences can be used, not anybody else's. And so it kind of snowballs, and they gain a lot.
You said this, sir. The choices are valued. This is it
has to be explicit, right? Like when someone makes their own
very,
choice.
Very basic, right? We assume that it's there, but maybe it's not, right?
It is basic, but most adults don't know that. Like they take over, right? They can't help themselves. The adult inclination is to take over and to impose your preferences.
Vincent, I could keep listening to you. You are my ears.
I mean, it's all in line with what everyone's been saying, right? All these.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like the way there's a connection between Vincent saying it's leading towards beauty, and then Vashima, that which is beautiful, because it is coming out of your own being. I think there's the inner and outer, and where Bernie, in the formation work that we're doing, right, about the integration, right, of the harmony between your head, your heart, your body, and work, right, the work of hands. So I think our exploration, instead of just saying it's analogous to an art collective and all that, well, the form and the spirit of that is similar to that, but our exploration is about the sustainable development, at the heart of it. And then we have this tube model that
I'm coming back, getting my wire.
Okay, that creates a provocation of the 12 aspects of sustainable development, and then interface that with the UNDP 17 goals, so this is where the sense of purpose, right? We are also, because sometimes you still tell people you open-ended curiosity that you can go on forever, you don't know how to apply it, and then they may think that they're doing service, but you're doing service, but
say you have to make a choice.
They still can't, because everything is very new because the technology is very new for climate change. There's a lot of urgent things that humanity has to confront, and because we've left it so late, the confrontation is very intense, like COVID, the pandemic, right? So I was listening to Paul Krugman. He identifies a couple of things, and he's saying, look, we're kind of overcoming the pandemic as in thinking wise, right? The rest of it, we know it needs time, right? But climate change has not even been openly confronted yet. Adults who are business leaders, who are community leaders, who are science leaders, they are scared because there is no answer, no obvious answer, and how do we coordinate this? Look at how we're coordinating the pandemic. Okay, the vaccines came through, etc., and then the Delta variants are still coming through, But I think there is this confrontation that we are also setting up this space to explore, but not in a way that I think you have to embrace the fear, because if you don't, then you are you will never learn how to overcome it, right? Vashima, you're muted.
Mute.
Fear cannot be intellectually embraced alone, We can say we are not fearful, but it's like a whole process of work upon oneself over time. It cannot just be say, okay, I'm not fearful, because when that fear springs up as a deterrent for you to go ahead, you never know. There's so much of it inside. So it's an ongoing process.
Yeah, so that's why I say it's a pedagogy of learning to confront it and to overcome it, right? Because it's an emotion. Emotions, we can't overcome our own anger. We can, but we have to be aware of it first. That, my goodness, this thing is eating inside me, right? And I can do other things. I can run away from it. I can go and do all these kind of programs. And I'm just deferring my own confrontation of
I
what
want to
is.
hear something from Natasha or Allan.
Okay.
Yeah, they have been listening, but I think they're processing what we're talking
Yes,
about.
they are. Okay, then they come over. Okay, Allan, Tasha, we are at 10 minutes to finishing. We can talk a little bit more, but everyone has to go. But what do you think now?
That you have been listening for 1 hour.
So I think it's great. I like it.
What do you like about it?
I think I like all about I like all about inclusive, so that people can come to the LightHouse. What's that aspiration?
I didn't quite get. What did he say?
No, I think I quite like aspiration either to be inclusive,
That is inclusive.
Yeah.
People can come to the LightHouse.
Okay. So it's available for everybody. That's why it's a community space. Yeah, Natasha?
Well, I do agree with Uncle Vincent and Auntie Vashima that sometimes parents do scold their young children for making wrong decisions, and I think that sometimes stops children from making right decisions. I don't know, because when they do the wrong things, then the parents sometimes they do tend to scold them. So in that way, I think the child loses confidence in self making the right decision.
I think that's connected to what we said, no? Make a choice. But if the child is brought up parents making the decision for them,
Yeah.
and they are scolded because they have lost or they have missed the opportunity to make decisions because they don't have choices. So that's why the basic is, Vincent said they have a choice, but if they grew up without any opportunity to making choices, you'll never get to step one. So that's what impressed you. The children are brought up without a chance to be themselves making choices.
That's right there, huh? The root, huh?
That's a very rooted observation.
And I think maybe the first dialogue is that, you know, huh? I mean, if we were to open up a dialogue, I think the opportunity is to open up dialogues, right? You just pick one at a time. If there's so many things, and if you're finding that the root is just the confidence, right?
Yeah.
The opportunity, and then eventually building your own confidence. Because Bernie, how are people going to have self-discovery of your own passion if at
They
such
haven't had the ability to make decisions,
and because it's not valued, like what Vincent said, it's not valued. They don't know that their choices are valued.
Yeah, because we have grown up with a takeover mentality from the parents.
Yeah, and everything is templated, right? So we have our first word. One word. We'll just put one word up. It's as simple as when we arrive there. We just put up one word. Not so much LightHouse or all these taglines that other people do, or we just put out one word. Yeah, what is that one word that we want?
Natasha?
Yeah, Natasha, you get to choose that first word, and one word for this season, 3 months. 3 to 6 months. This is the word we will bring into to get our approval as well. That's what we're gonna explore.
I don't know. Maybe self-belief. I don't know.
Go a bit before self-belief.
Self-belief.
Before that, just go. How do you get self-belief?
Allan, how do you get there?
Well, I see we need to give up. I can't eat other, you know. Yeah, I just can't reject.
You need to give what?
Well, I see as our people to fill up I can so that people can get in other.
You give hope to?
Yes, I always up to work something and I can share up with them.
And then it's consistent, share
Yeah,
hope.
I can.
Hope. Share hope.
No. Okay. Okay.
Hope and care. Okay, how do we empower?
Well, I see to love each other. Also remember to love each other as well.
Love each other.
Yes. So hope, care, and love.
Hope, care, and love. Wow. Wow.
Vashima, you're muted.
Hope, care, and love. Well, Allan, that's 3 big words. 3 big words.
That's what everybody needs coming out of the pandemic.
You see? The innocence, the blessed innocence.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Hope, care, and love.
It's deeper than, it's even more rooted than self
us.
choices
Or
or law.
it's at the bottom of the earth. Yeah.
Yeah. We are still going at law as the foundation. No. He has
Yeah.
gone deeper. Right.
Mm.
Tasha's one was self-belief. Tasha, can you take us deep?
Because self-belief.
What do you mean by self-belief? Yeah.
I think I know why I say self-belief already. Because the moment we feel unsure about ourselves, then how do we know what we are doing if we are unsure about ourselves? That's why I have to say we have to trust ourselves. Only then when we know what we are doing.
Correct. Yeah, correct.
Trust ourselves.
You have to trust yourself to know what you're doing, and then you will acquire self-belief.
So the trust. Hope, care, and love. So how? More than one word. If you want to have one word, the name of the organization is One Love.
No, because if you tie up Allan and Natasha,
Yeah.
if you are going to have self-belief,
Okay.
then you will empower yourself to be able to get the next step to give love, care, and hope. What do you think?
I think it's more of a mission statement. Sounds like a clear, very clear description of what our goal is, right? That when you get to participate in this environment that we're going to try and create, you start to, have that sense of belief in yourself in a community, right? Which is different than having a sort of an arrogant self-belief, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then that will allow you, like Bernadette was saying, to foster hope and care and love in yourself, and to hopefully create that with others. That's how I'm seeing it. It's kind of accurate description of everything that we're hoping to do.
Yeah,
in
because
general.
self-belief can also be negative. It could be an arrogant self-belief. But if you self-believe in order to give to the community, that's a different story.
I find that it's more like a cradle. You actually for growth at different points, right? You need to have the environment or the persons in the environment live this hope, care, and love first, before you can actually know that your own formation and the formation of self-will, right, has some aspects of formating yourself to be an individual that is separated from community. So you can't run away from individualizing yourself, right? Then but you need to have these models of caring, how people
that's why
live.
it's a community. That's why it's a community space. It's a community space.
Yeah, but a community space that it's it's not like it's regimented, like what Vashima is saying. It's not based on already an onset of philosophy, because that would limit your mind. And if you start to be in a social bubble, even though you're caring and loving and hug, for each other, sometimes, and maybe most times, you can feel so good that, but then maybe as a community and then as a person, your thinking has actually been truncated to its fullest human potential and creativity. And I feel we sometimes it's having dissonance, or maybe most times having dissonance is very important. Mass and not needing to formulate everything tightly, even as a community.
That's why I said the other day, dissonance is really an asset.
Mm. Mm. So well, we would like it to be all kind of beautiful and good and sanguine. I think that's a trapping too. I feel very strongly more than ever now. I don't know why I'm saying it now. Vashima is wanting to say something. Huh?
No, I think with this discussion as a background to our creating the space, I think Vincent, also part of Vincent's soul will be projected there, which is so beautiful. So we can leave it to that and see how organically we move. Because suddenly people who are used to a structure, suddenly you take away the structure, they can go berserk. So it's gradually, organically, the place will offer more and more.
Okay.
To begin with, I think we can leave it all to this conversation. Was important for Vincent to get this input, and I am very, very, very excited about what Vincent's presence is going to lead there. And that has to be, that will manifest itself. So we start with the structure that people are used to and gradually open up, rather than completely open up where people don't know what to do when they come in. So slowly, the place will build up its energy in the first 2 months, and then we can create more open-ended sessions and gradually leading to intergenerational involvement. So it can be a process to begin with.
It's kind of all our soul or inner energy or inner selves now.
Yeah, because if we don't know where
together,
we are going,
right? Yeah.
We need to know where we are going, in the direction in which we are going, and the pace can be moderated, you know.
Yeah. It's just sometimes the simplicity of it. It's really the beauty, isn't it? Just as simple.
Like even with the micro summit, we didn't know where we were going, at what level were we pitching. But it all came together. So I think our collective energy will have that aesthetics, will have that harmony, which we ourselves mustn't doubt.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, I have to go, but thank you, Vincent, for your insights.
Yeah, nice to see everybody again, especially Allan and
bye
Natasha and Vashima. I haven't seen you for a long time.
Thank you. Okay, I will close up with everyone.
Vincent, I have a lovely picture of you, which often comes up on my iPhone. Next time it pops up, I'm going to post it here.
Sure, yes.
Okay, thank you, Vincent.
All right.
Okay, thanks, Benny. Thanks,
We'll
Vashima.
see you in space somewhere.
Bye-bye. Vincent.
Yeah.
Vincent, I need to show you something. I don't know how.
Sure.
Oh yeah. Show us the wall. Show us your space.
Camera. I want to show you what I've been doing.
Okay.
Where? Let me see. Okay. Can you see that?
Ooh.
I've been painting up my walls.
Wow.
Amazing.
Nice. That reminds me a bit of
those are my. And then I went.
Oh, cool.
So it's been good fun.
Good
fun to use this house to experiment with few things. And then I did this the other day.
Cool.
And then I did this the other day.
Oh yeah, you're going full on.
And then, and then I did this yesterday. So it's been good fun.
Wow, that's a lot of work.
Trying to see what. So anyway, it's been fun for me to have all these walls as my canvas, and now it looks like a big studio space.
Yeah, that's very cool. It looks great.
Did you do the ceiling too?
Yeah, it's been fun. Okay, so I'll catch you again, and loads and loads of energy from here. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye, Allan, Natasha. Bye, Pet.
Bye.
Vincent.
Thank you.
Bye.
See
Yeah.
you
Bye.
soon somewhere.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
So Vincent, we
Yeah.
will go to the school when I
Okay.
clear all the agreements. So hopefully next week. But what kind of wait? Let me just check my
No.
calendar.
Yeah. Next